Hello everyone and welcome to this platform. I'd like to give my introduction first. I'm CA Dr. Rajesh Khandol, practicing as a chartered accountant since past 30 years. I also hold a degree of LLB, Information and System Audit and PhD in Economic Development of Kutch. During the tenure of my 30 years experience, I have handled various internal system management audit of stock listed companies and also had an opportunity of handling the wealth of high net worth individuals. My goal after joining this platform is to share my experience and simplify certain aspects of financial management, investment strategies and other investment related issues. So let's get into the details. I would first indulge at macro level and then gradually will dive into the details. So firstly, now what is wealth management? To sum up this in one line, wealth management means you have to allocate your wealth in such a way that maximize your return. Let us simplify it in a financial terms. You will have to allocate your wealth in such a way where yearly yield, percentage of yearly yield is greater than the inflation rate. Now the question whether it arises, answer is well yes. Whether it is practically possible, the answer is no in most of the cases. Let's get into the reason of no. The first reason is lack of knowledge of subject matter. Let us take an example of insurance. You are investing in insurance product. The first question should come into your mind is, what is your object? Your object is investment or family protection. You need to know that where your amount is being invested by insurance company. It is also a lesser known fact that insurance company used to take certain percentage as a management charges and rest of the amount will be invested. You need to know the taxability of redemption amount. Many times an insurance broker promises for the tax-free return without having the knowledge of required law. Let us take the example of investment in equity oriented mutual funds. You need to know the basic terms of large cap fund, small cap fund, sectorial fund, index fund. Let us take an example that you are investing in debt oriented mutual fund. You need to know the basic terms of liquid fund, short duration fund, long duration fund, gilt fund. You need to know how to read the fact sheets. In most of the cases, even your mutual fund agents are not aware about how to read the fact sheet. Let us take the example of investing in equity shares. You need to know the past history of the company, future prospect of the company, balance sheet, profit and loss account, management integrity, everything. The next reason is review of investment. You need to review your investment in a regular interval. Let us take an example that you are investing in shares of Castrol and Lupin Laboratories. The past return is good, management is good, but whether that company is giving the returns, if you look at the figures of past 3 years, the growth of the companies are stopped, and when the growth is stopped, company has stopped giving the higher returns. So you need to review the companies on a regular basis. Friends, remember that once a blue chip company cannot be a blue chip forever. Third reason is why you are not being able to review the investment on a regular interval. The reason is time. You don't have time and also available resources, efficient resources. Let us take an example of one successful businessman. Let us presume that he is earning 1 crore rupees in a year and spends 30 lakhs yearly. So at the age of 60, he must be having an investable wealth of 35 to 40. He still spends 90% of his time in business. But what happens? Because business models are changing very fast and due to age factor, he will earn approximately 60 lakhs in a year. So his income is gradually decreasing. Now what is the summary? He is spending 90% of his time in business and he is not giving time to review his investment. He is earning 60 lakhs rupees but not spending his 10% time on review of investment. He is losing an opportunity of additional 2-3% return, and that 2-3% comes to 60 to 70 lakhs, which is more than his business income. Friends, your business will give you the return depending upon your time involvement, but in investment it works round the clock 24 hours. I have also seen many chartered accountants who are investing in SIPs of mutual fund. The simple return, the absolute return is high, but when I have calculated the compounded return, CAGR, annually compounded return, then it is merely 5 to 6%. Friends, most of the cases people do not understand the power of compounding. Let us simplify it. If you invest 100 rupees at a simple interest of 10%, then it will be 200 after 10 years. That means 100% return. But if you calculate it on compounded basis at the rate of 10%, then after 10 years it will be 260 rupees. That means 160% return. So people do not understand the effect of compounding. The next reason, people do not take the advice of experts. Let us presume that you want to invest in land. What should be your next step? You should take the advice of best broker of that particular area, best land broker of that particular area. If you want to invest in equity oriented mutual fund, debt oriented mutual fund and equity markets, direct stock market, you should take the advice of financial analyst. Friends, I can tell you that additional return generated after the advice of experts will be definitely more than what you are paying to that experts. Now let us move on to wealth management. The basic rules of wealth management is investors should be aware about how much options are available to them. Primarily, I would divide into two categories. One is financial assets and second is physical assets. In financial assets, you can have bank fixed deposits, debentures, bonds, insurance, provident fund, mutual fund and equity shares. In physical assets, you can have gold, silver, other commodity, land and resident and commercial properties. Friends, before going through the various investment areas in detail, let us have a look at the trend. On screen, you will see some statistics of individual wealth. These figures are not relevant, but it will help us to understand the trend more accurately and help us take a strategic decision about overall allocations of the various areas. Now the statistics given here are of individuals only. One residential house and one commercial property is not included in these statistics. On screen, you can see that investment in financial asset is 60.95% and investment in physical asset is 39.05%. Let us compare it with the previous year figures. What is the trend of increasing? In financial assets, the investment is increased by 10.96% and in physical asset, investment is increased by 7.59%. Let us have a look about the trend of last 5 years. On the screen, you can see that investment in financial asset was 161 lakhs crore in financial year 15. It is increased to 262 lakhs crore in financial year 19. That means there is an increase of 60%, more than 60%. While in physical asset, it was 122 lakhs crore and it is increased up to 168 lakhs crore. So it is a increase of 40%. What does it mean? It means that investment in financial assets are increasing faster than the investment in physical assets. Now let us have a look on trend of the global investment. You can see from the screen that There are two major variances. One in equity. Globally, the trend is 25.70%, and in India, the total investment is 18.89%. But if you look at the figure of past 2 years, then it was 16%. It means investment in equity is gradually increasing. The next difference is investment in alternate assets. It is 13% globally, whereas in India it is 22.27%. But if you look at the figures of past 2 years, it was 24%. It means it is gradually decreasing. So what is the summary? The summary is we are gradually moving towards the global trend, and our investment in alternate assets and physical assets is reducing, and investment in financial assets is increasing. Let us broadly go through the various areas of wealth management and their categories. Before investing, you need to consider two factors into your mind. The first is risk. That means what is the probability of capital appreciation and capital reduction. And the second is exit route. Let us go into the details. The first is direct equity. What are the risk and returns? Higher the risk, higher the return. And probability of capital appreciation as well as reduction is always very high. In direct equity, your return always depends on research. And the exit route is very simple. Let us take equity oriented mutual fund. Here also the return depends on your research, and here the exit route is also simple. Next comes to debt mutual fund. Return here are between 5 to 8%, and exit route is simple, but investors are advised to review the fact sheet provided by the mutual funds. More on fact sheets and how to read it will be coming on my next videos. Moving on to bank FDs, probably the safest return, no capital appreciation or depreciation, and interest rate and durations are also fixed. Next is government securities other than FD. Here investors need to go through schemes in detail, specifically look for the lock-in period, which usually range from 3 to 7 years. Next is gold. Exit route is simple, and returns are not depend on your skills. Next up is land. Here capital depreciation and appreciation are possible. Talking about states in India, return average is about 3%. But the most difficult part is exit route. Let us take the example of Ahmedabad. Relief road was most costliest area before 30 years back. Now it is outdated. Also take the example of Masjid Bandar of Bombay. It was the most commercial area before 30 years. Now it is outdated. So here the most difficult is exit route. Another area is insurance. Here object of investment is not capital appreciation but that of family protection. In my opinion, there is no logic in mixing the object of insurance and investment together. I will be explaining in a separate video regarding insurance product as investment. Now let us dive into these investments in detail. The first is direct equity. This one happens to be the most risky area and higher the potential of return. When you invest in direct equity, you need to consider so many factors, and we'll be having a number of videos in this regard. Now let us discuss about the stock market. What are the factors you will have to consider? When you are investing into the stock, you need to consider the stock price. Now the next question is, stock price is depending on stock index. Stock index means Nifty 50. So it is depending on movement of that Nifty 50 company's price. It has moved from 12,000 to 7,500 within a period of February 20 to July 20. That means there is a movement of about 35%. Now you need to understand the movement of Nifty 50 companies, because Nifty 50 companies are playing a significant role in overall stock market. To understand the Nifty 50 companies, you need to understand the holding pattern of that Nifty 50 companies. Let us have a look about some statistic of my research. You can see from the screen that total market capitalization of Nifty 50 companies is 82.93 lakhs crore, which is almost 45% of total market capitalization. So Nifty 50 companies are playing a significant role in overall stock market. Let us take one by one. The first is promoter. Promoter holding is 36.67 lakhs crore, which is almost 44%. But it was 44% in February also, and it was 44% in March also, and 44% in July also. What does it mean? They are not playing a significant role in stock index. The next is others. Here the share of others is 17%. They are also not playing a significant role in stock index. Why? Because there are millions in numbers, and psychology of million people cannot be changed overnight. Next is insurance company. Their stake is 6%. They are also not playing a significant role in stock index. By and large, they are not playing. The next is mutual fund. Their share is 9%. They are also not playing a significant role in stock movement. Why? Because there is a lot of inflow of SIPs in India, and mutual funds have an obligation to invest in Indian markets. So by and large, they are not playing a significant role in index movement. Next is FII, foreign institutions. Their stake is 24%. They are playing a significant role in stock index. Why? Because they are very less in numbers. They don't have obligation to invest in Indian equity markets. Once they are not comfortable with the Indian economic scenario, or they are not comfortable with the prospect of that company, immediately they will take the exit route. So in totality, Nifty 50 index is broadly depending on FIIs. Friends, to understand the stock market, we need to understand the psychology of FII. We need to understand the perspective of FII. What are the factors that is to be considered by FII? We need to understand those factors. Here we will be discussing, in my all videos, we will be discussing about long-term investment. Technical analysis are right from their perspective, but we will not be discussing about any trading perspective. So we need to understand the factors which is to be kept in mind. We will be discussing about those factors in my next videos. Thank you.